All right, welcome everyone to first festival training session for this evening. Rotary and Toastmasters, a great partnership. This one will be presented by Todd Cutterback, and it's my happy to introduce Todd. So our presenter for this evening, Todd Allen Cutterback, distinguished Toastmaster, past District 2 Director. Todd has been a member of Toastmasters for 12 years and has been involved in some form of leadership, district leadership for 11 of those years. Currently, he is the District 2 Toastmasters Rotary Partnership Coordinator. Todd is also a small business owner of Everett Hydraulics, a machine shop located in Everett. Every week, Todd also broadcasts a live internet talk show called Life Mastery Radio with Todd and Jackie. Todd started working with Rotary District 5030 a year ago when he was appointed the District 2 Toastmasters Rotary Partnership Coordinator. He really did not know that much about Rotary when he started this journey and realizes today that there's much more to learn. So Todd is very passionate about Toastmasters, and when he heard about the two organizations forming a sisterhood, he instantly thought he should get involved in some way. Here he is today presenting at our Rotary District 5030 Festival of Training. Todd's going to share with us today a little bit about the Toastmasters program, recapping some of the events that the team accomplished last year. And he would really love to just kick around some ideas with you about the upcoming year, and will be continuing his role as the District 2 coordinator. Todd is an interactive presenter, so at any time, if you have any questions, type it in the chat box, and I can help moderate those, and he will address it. But without further ado, if everyone could give Tom a warm welcome, visual clap on Zoom. And then I will turn it over to you, Todd.
Thank you, Henry. It's great to be here at your festival, and a virtual festival. That's kind of cool. I understand that in the past you've done these in a weekend, and now you stretched it out for a whole month. That's pretty cool. I think we at Toastmasters did the same thing, only ours was 2 weeks. So it's really cool that you can put all this together and make it all happen. And welcome to the world of Zoom. Oh my goodness. The last year has seemingly flown by, and I want to just share with you how this all started. And we're going to just take a trip back in time 18 months ago when I caught wind of our mothership being Toastmasters International, kicking around the idea of creating this sisterhood between our two organizations. I caught wind of that. I knew a little bit about Rotary. I didn't know a whole lot about it. Some of my friends are Rotarians. And I thought, wow, this would be a great high-performance leadership project. In our education system, we have a thing called Pathways. I'll talk a little bit more about that, but part of that education experience is doing what we call a high-performance leadership project. And I thought, wow, this would make a really good one. I could build a bridge between the two organizations. And I started to create that vision of what that bridge looked like, and what would I build that bridge out of, and what would I use it to cement it together, and how would it look? And like I said, I didn't know a whole lot about Rotary. So I reached out to some of my Toastmaster friends and some of my other friends and tried to start to get a good picture of what that would look like and how we could work it. Then COVID hit. And we were all scrambling around, as I'm sure you were too, trying to figure out how we were going to continue meeting and what was that going to look like. And I think my home club didn't meet for an entire month until we got it figured out. I totally lost sight of this project. About 3 or 4 months later, we went through our district conference and we elected our new leaders. And the newly elected incoming district director, Roxy Stimson, approached me and said, Todd, how would you like to be the District 2 Rotary Toastmasters Program Coordinator? I thought, wow, what, was she reading my mind? How did she know I was even interested in this? And for sure, I agreed that I would take on this project. I wasn't quite sure still what it looked like. I'd lost all of that time of creating the vision of what it was, but I jumped right in and we formed a team. And that's where this all started. Look at me today. Here I am presenting at your conference. And how could I have ever imagined that this would occur? I met some really wonderful people. We put a great team together. Catherine Gibson was amazing and directed the traffic. You're incoming. Howard had some great ideas as well. But the first thing they sprung on me was, Todd, we've required all of our incoming club presidents to join Toastmasters. Where do they go? What do they do? How do they do it? And I was like, oh my goodness, my little HPLP project had now grown into a big deal. I scrambled around. I found 65 of the best clubs in District 2, got them organized, got the leaders in Rotary organized and connected them up, and the rest is history. And it was really cool. But in the interim of that as well, and maybe I'll talk about that a little bit later, we created some great training programs and came up with some real novel ways to get Rotarians jump-started into Toastmasters. It was pretty cool. I'm going to talk a little bit today about the Toastmasters program. I'm going to talk about and recap some of the things we did. Maybe I'll bring in Catherine and Howard a little bit later and we can kick it around of what we accomplished and how we got there. It just seems like yesterday that we started it and boom, here we are a year later. I'll talk a little bit and I want to open the discussion up too as well. I know you might have some great ideas of what can we build this bridge out of? What materials can we use and how can we do it? What does it look like to you to create this bridge between our two organizations? I want to start out by defining some terms. And these are a couple of my quotes that I really like that I'm going to share with you. Success and leadership. So what is success? Is success about money and power and being on top of the rock pile? Well, to me, that's not so much what it is. Success includes a lot of failure. Success includes a lot of hard work and striving toward a goal. And sometimes that goal might change. Just like my vision of what this bridge would look like in Rotary instantly changed the minute we formed the committees and we had to organize and get creative about getting people trained and placed into clubs. So here, I'll share this with you. This is one of my favorite quotes that I just love, and it always sticks with me. And there it is. That was stated by Mark Twain, and it's kind of funny, but there is some serious truth to it, especially when we join an organization when you just never know what's coming around the corner. I know for me, in the United States Marine Corps, had I known at 17 years old what I was stepping into, I probably wouldn't have done it. But yet, that action and that achievement was probably one of the best things I've ever done in my entire life. I wouldn't have, but yet having the ignorance of not knowing as I got into it definitely kept me going and kept me striding ahead because I really had no choice at that point. That's probably one of my most favorite quotes from Mark Twain about success. Here's another one I really like, and this one, and that success quote from Mark Twain, you can apply that to Rotary and as in Toastmasters as well. As a district director, I don't think that I would have stepped into that leadership role had I known what it would have entailed, right? I stepped into it with the gumption and the thought that I was going to succeed. But had I known that I would become the bus driver for 4,000 people and had all that responsibility, I probably would have never taken that action. But it's probably the second best thing I've ever done in my life. Let's move on to my second most favorite quote, and it's about leadership. And, you know, I'm really big in servant leadership, and I know Rotary's about that. That's probably why I was so appealing to the idea of Rotary and what they were about. Let's try this one. I have a lot of moving parts on my screen. There we go. I just love this one, and I heard this one a long time ago. And this is probably the reason that I really fell in love with Toastmasters, and it's probably the reason that you really fell in love with Rotary, because it's what it's all about. My dog is having a panic attack. My apologies if you can hear that. I'm going to close the door real quick. I think she'll be okay. Find my place. So I don't think that we would have joined Rotary or Toastmasters had it not been for some kind of attraction, some kind of thing that attracted us. I know for me, when I first walked into Toastmasters, I fell in love with the idea. I thought to myself, this is where I'm going to grow. This, just by what I saw, this is where I'm going to learn to gain more confidence. And all I had to do was show up every week, just like you guys do what was suggested, and things began to change for me. It was like 8 months later, and I found myself thinking, when did I start thinking like this? When did I gain this great sense of confidence? When did I change my philosophy of how I interact with my employees? It totally changed my whole outlook on how I conducted my business and how I conducted communication. That's what Toastmasters is all about with my employees. I don't think that I would be as successful as I am today had it not been for Toastmasters in business. It really, really opened up a lot of doors. I know for a fact I would not be an internet talk radio show host had it not been for Toastmasters. I can remember one day showing up at my club and delivering it was probably my second or third speech. And one of the comments that I got on the feedback was, Todd, you have an amazing voice. Have you ever considered doing radio? It had never crossed my mind. But I explored that possibility, fell in love with that idea, and next thing I know, I'm an internet talk radio show host and have been for about 10 years. Thank goodness for Toastmasters. Let's talk about some of the other gifts that Toastmasters offers people, and that's confidence. Like I said, you really only have to show up, do what's suggested, and you begin to transform. In Toastmasters, we certainly like to speak a lot. We have our meetings, and in every meeting, the roles are different. We have different roles, grammarian. We have people that count all the ahs and ums. We have people that keep track of, that's called the grammarian, of our grammatical errors. We have a timer. All of our speeches are timed. All of those rules are rotated for every meeting. And it gives people the great opportunity for leadership roles. And some of the gifts of this are, especially with our evaluations, every speech gets evaluated. And this allows the person that's evaluating to really understand and really get a good idea of what's important to them in a speech. And it creates great listening skills. Same with the timer. The timer must be right on top of the timing, and it provides a sense of time inside when we're presenting. And all of those skills a person builds just by showing up and doing a role. I talked about when I first walked into the meeting, I just fell in love with this idea. And I want to tell you a story of what really anchored that. When I first got into district leadership, we have 3 positions, and you start out as a club growth director, and then you go on to the program quality director, and then you get to be the district director. Well, when I first entered the district leadership, our convention, our big Toastmasters International convention that year was in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. And it took 18 hours to get there. And when we got there, I was in a new world. I was with Toastmasters from all over the world, interacting with them. Everybody was friendly. But the 2 key things that I noticed, first was the opening ceremony. And in that opening ceremony, just like with the Olympics, there's a flag ceremony. And all of the flags, Toastmasters is located in about 145 different countries. And all of those flags, I think the Rotarians have us beat. I think you guys have, you're close to 200 countries that you're located in, but we have 145. And all those flags get paraded in front of the entire audience, just like the Olympics. And what I noticed was the flag for Russia came out. And then a little while later, the flag for Ukraine came out. Now this hit me because during that time frame, Russia and Ukraine were not the best of friends. As a matter of fact, I think they were in a small conflict. And I thought to myself, wow, here's an organization that's not recognizing any boundaries. A little bit later on in our convention, we gather the world's best speakers from our organization, and it's a tiered thing. You compete at different levels, and ultimately, if you're good enough, you end up on the world stage, is what we call it, and you're competing for the world champion of public speaking. And that year we selected a winner. And what I learned was that winner was from Sri Lanka. But the district that his club belonged to also encompassed parts of India. And this hit me kind of strange too, because if we think about our history, Sri Lanka and India aren't really the best of friends as well. But yet, here I'm a member of an organization that's not recognizing any borders. It's not recognizing any political agendas. And it's about communication. See, that really anchored this program for me because it's about communication. And this is how we change the world, by crossing the borders, no political agendas, through communication. I was sold hook, line, and sinker about this program, and as you heard in the introduction, I've been as passionate as I can about it ever since. That's my little story about how I fell even more in love with Toastmasters International. So, what exactly is Toastmasters? You might be asking. Well, I explained a little bit. We hold club meetings every week. We have different roles at every meeting. We usually have 2 to 3 speakers at every meeting, and those speeches come out of our educational system, which we call Pathways. I'll show you a little bit about that in just a minute. Here's a really cool part about those speeches. Those speeches are written by individuals about topics that they're interested in. They begin to learn what it is they're passionate about and speak about. And I'll tell you, 9 times out of 10, at least in back when we were in meeting in person, you'd hear a speech, and then after the meeting, you'd hear somebody go up to that speaker and say, wow, I'm interested in the same thing. Can you tell me more? And did you know about this? And anyway, it opens up a whole discussion. I think that's something that both of our organizations have going for it, and that is that sense of community, that sense of compassion for each other. And basically, if you look at it, it's like creating a family. I know there are some of my club members that I'm closer to really than I am my family. And I think that's something that both of our organizations have really got going. But what else is Toastmasters about? Let me share this screen with you. We'll recap this one just a little bit until I get organized here. So this has always struck me, you know, our dues, I'm not sure what Rotary dues are, but our dues are only $45 every 6 months. So that works out to be about $7.50 a month. Now, how much value do you place on something that you only pay $7.50 for? Something to think about. But yet, these are the features and benefits that you get from being a member of Toastmasters. Of course, everybody knows you're going to improve your public speaking skills, but getting confidence, the practice of writing speech and how to craft a speech, learning those techniques, and of course the networking, the social interaction, the understanding of the differences and the different viewpoints. Now, we don't allow political or religious speeches so much, but yet you can still tell how a person is thinking and what they're thinking about and what their views are, and being able to share that and speaking from the heart is huge. That's some of the features and benefits of belonging to Toastmasters. I'll show you this. This is our Pathways program. This is our education system. And these are the features. This is what you prepare for when you enter our education system. Interview preparation, leadership development, conflict resolution. Where else are you going to learn that kind of thing and learn with practice? Each path, I'll show you the paths. There are 11 of them, and each one focuses on something that the member is interested in. I've completed 2 of these paths. I've done presentation mastery and persuasive influence. Each path has roughly 15 to 20 presentations. It has different projects that a person takes on and completes. Some of the projects are like create a podcast and then play it for your club and get some feedback, or create a project that involves your club. Like I know you guys do projects every year. It's escaping me what you call that, but this takes you through step by step of honing these skills that are related to each one of these paths. Dynamic leadership. I've heard some great presentations by people that are working on this path. So when you first join Toastmasters, you choose a path. You take a little survey, and that helps you decide on what you're interested in and what you want to learn about. Complete 2 of these paths and a little bit of some district service work, and then you get to wear the badge of a distinguished Toastmaster. So I'll tell you, the first path took me about 2 years to do, and then the second path took me right about 2 more years in order to complete it. So I'm eligible for a second Distinguished Toastmasters Award. It's pretty cool. So that's a little bit about our education system. Let's see where I'm at here. Any questions about Toastmasters? Go ahead and shoot them at Henry and he'll relay them to me. I'm sure there's much more that I could talk about and present about the program. It's pretty cool. And like I said, the biggest gift you'll get is a sense of confidence. And this isn't a confidence that you show up at your club on a regular basis with. This is a confidence that you show up with everywhere you go every day. And it's pretty cool. And it's what's even more cool. I'll just talk about this for a minute. In Toastmasters, we have what's called gavel clubs. And in order to be a Toastmaster, you have to be 18 years old. But if you're under 18, you can join a gavel club. And it's the same program, only for youth. Now, I've been involved in some of those speech contests. And if this interests you, it should. Just get a hold of me and I can hook you up. I can fix you up with how to get involved in that. But you listen to some of these kids present their speeches and it will blow you away. I sat there and listened to about 40 speeches one night. I was a judge and all I could think about was I'm watching the future president of the United States. Teaching these kids these skills will last them the rest of their life. I almost sometimes wish, and it's not that I do wish that I would have gotten involved in Toastmasters a lot younger. And how much different would my life be right now had I had done that? It's pretty cool to see. I see, Henry, we might have a question.
Yeah, it looks like Kathy's wondering if you, Todd, if you could tell us a little bit about the different types of Toastmasters clubs.
Just like in Rotary, every club is different. Every club has its own personality. Every club has its own. So depending on the location of the club, that's where the membership, well, it used to be that way. Now, in a virtual world that we're in, I have club members that are from Tennessee and other places. But when we met in person, it was from that local community. And those local business entrepreneurs or students from that local area. So each club kind of developed its own personality and the differing topics pretty much related to that area. As you get along in the Pathways program, each path has like 5 levels. And if you reach the second level, then you're eligible to join what we call our advanced clubs. Now, advanced clubs take you a little bit higher in that most of our speeches at a regular club are 5 to 7 minutes. In an advanced club, there are some advanced clubs in District 2 that have a 1-hour speaking slot. And that's great for practicing a seminar, a workshop, if you have a big presentation to do at work. The other cool thing about advanced clubs is it also attracts advanced speakers and speakers that are actually professional speakers in the industry. And you get to rub elbows with them, find out their tips and tricks, and listen to their evaluations about your presentation style and skill. I would say when I was in a home club, my skill level probably went up 5 or 6 points. But once I reached the point where I was invited to an advanced club, it doubled and tripled. The difference was off the charts. And like I said, there's a lot of professional speakers, a lot of professional presenters that belong to these advanced clubs because that's how they hone their skills. A lot of people in Toastmasters stick around in Toastmasters to practice those skills. Did I answer your question, Catherine? I think I did. There are many variations. We even have what we call specialty clubs, and these clubs focus on strictly improvisation or humor. We have a humor club, or I'll tell you that there is a club in District 2, and it's called Frankly Speaking. Frankly Speaking. And it is a complete open topic club. And you have to be kind of attracted to that idea. They meet on Friday nights very late, but they are open topic, and they have a huge membership. So there's something for everybody in the Toastmasters organization. Any other questions? I don't see any more. If you have any questions about Toastmaster, here's my best advice. Visit a club. There are plenty of clubs out there. If you want to connect with me, I'm not hard to find. I can steer you in the direction of a club, or just visit a club. And if you don't click with that club, try another one. In our world today of virtual meetings, the possibilities are endless of what you could find out there. And as a matter of fact, I was talking to Henry about this doing a pre-show, and I think it's going to be really hard for Toastmasters to put this cat back in the bag as far as in-person meeting. I think we're going to end up with some hybrids, and because it has opened up our entire world, and we get people from different parts of the nation now visiting and joining our clubs, and that just, to me, opens up this no border, no political agenda thing even more. Looks like we have another question. Todd, could you recap the Rotary TI Alliance this year and preview what's coming in for the new year? That's next on my list. Catherine, how are you reading my mind? Boy, oh boy, did we have a blast last year. Catherine, Howard, Stephanie Hooper, the list goes on and on and on with our committee. We, right out of the gate, quickly put together this program called Jumpstart to Toastmasters. And with this requirement of your incoming officers having to join Toastmasters, we wanted to give them a jumpstart. What could they expect? And what was this thing called pathways? And I don't even know how to write a speech. How do you get a basic speech written? Well, that's what we taught them. We brought them in for 2 hours. We did it twice on a Saturday, and we showed them the Pathways program. We took them through that step by step. We showed them step by step how an easy, quick way to craft a compelling, concise, clear presentation that would get results. And then we showed them what to expect when they walked into a Toastmasters meeting, and we got rave reviews. I think everybody was well prepared to join Toastmasters, probably more prepared than they would have if they were just a brand new member walking in off the street. I know that for a fact, because a lot of people just jump in. But it's so quick, and we're so supportive that people get supported right out of the gate. Then we thought up this idea. I think it was Catherine's idea of 50 minutes of fun. And it took some time to get the vision created, and I think we met every week for an entire month before we pulled this off. There was a lot of planning, there was a lot of strategizing, there was a lot of figuring things out, and we lit the candle on this thing. And this was a mixer between Rotary and Toastmasters. I think that first game night that we did, we had like 75 people registered. It was fast paced. It was a lot of fun. People had a blast. And I don't think we bored the socks off anybody. There was no time to get bored. We played 3 games. We did some improvisational speaking. We did some debating. And we did another word game. And it was just a blast. And we got rave reviews. And my kudos to Catherine for coming up with the idea. But the rest of the team, we all put it together. So that was so successful, we decided to do it again. And I think we experienced great success again. And I hope the future holds some more activities like that. I think that was a great way to mix it up. Maybe a little more, who are you, what are you, visit my club type of thing, maybe. The idea is to get everybody comfortable with each other and get them to visit clubs. Let's see, what else did we do? We met at least once a month and formulated plans and strategies. shared newsletters and posts the whole time. I think even still I have, and I'll continue to do that. I have accepted the role again next year. And I think that a lot of people really enjoy reading the 5030 newsletter. So I will continue to have a section in our newsletter called the Rotary Toastmasters Alliance. And I will continue to publish your Rotary 5030 newsletter because a lot of people really enjoy reading it. And I think it's a great way to break the ice and help to build that bridge. Looks like we're cranking on questions here. Let's see what we got here.
Yeah, we got a question from Jenny asking, in Rotary, one belongs to a single club but can visit other clubs. Is Toastmasters like that?
I laugh because my whole reason, and I'll tell this story. I joined Toastmasters. I was having a discussion with a friend one day, and I told them, hey, you know, I bet I could be a public speaker. I'd really like to be a public speaker. And he said, Todd, I'm a member of Toastmasters. Have you ever been to a Toastmasters meeting? I can't say I have. The only thing I can identify Toastmasters with is this silver thing on my kitchen counter that I put slices of bread in. And he invited me to a meeting. That was the first meeting I went to. And I fell in love with the idea. And I experienced so much growth and so much personal empowerment that ultimately, and I was so driven to be a public speaker that ultimately, Jenny, I was a member of 7 clubs. Talk about being stretched thin. But that experience propelled my skill level tenfold. And I think at that time, too, I belonged to 2 different advanced clubs. One was called Professionally Speaking, where that was made up of professional speakers and aspiring professional speakers. The other advanced club was called Toastmasters Extraordinaire. And that was that club I mentioned. We had a 1-hour speaking slot. The other 3 speaking slots were up to 20 and 30 minutes. So to answer your question, Jenny, in the long way, you can belong to multiple clubs. There were some more there, weren't there?
Another question was just how to look up clubs in the community. And I pasted the Toastmasters Find a Club link.
Yep.
Is that the best resource? Okay.
That's how you do that. Toastmasters.org, and just click on Find a Club. It'll ask you for your zip code, and it will give you an entire list. Then you just reach out to those clubs. There should be a link there to their website. Some clubs, although I highly recommend against it, but some clubs put their Zoom links right there, right out in public, so you can just pop right on in. Most clubs, though, you'll see contact this thing called a BPM, and that is one of the officer roles in our club. It's called the Vice President of Membership, and they're kind of the gatekeeper to get into the club. And if you communicate with them, they'll give you their Zoom link, and you can you can join as many clubs as you want. I know of some Toastmasters that have belonged to 8 and 10 different clubs. So some clubs only meet once a month. So if you're really passionate and really addicted to the Toastmasters program, you can go to a meeting every week, I think. Anything else on that?
So can I say, I just want to say that I am a member of the Kent Toast and Boast.
Yay, that's a cool club.
Yeah, they're fun. It's just been one of the best experiences for me. It's probably one of my favorite reoccurring Zoom or meetings, it's just so much fun every week, so.
Yeah, thank you for that. That's a great club. That club's been around for a very long time. They're very successful. They've had their ups and downs, but that's really cool that you're getting that experience, because that's what it's all about. Our club meetings are really geared and driven toward that new member, because here's my philosophy behind that. I don't get to keep it unless I give it away. And the only way I can give it away is if new members come in the club. They are the lifeblood the lifeblood of a club. Did we get another one, Henry?
Yeah. So Todd, could you share your top 5 tips for public speaking?
My top 5 tips for public speaking. Speak from the heart. I'll tell you what made a huge difference in me. There's a book written by a woman named Gail Larson. She was the first female president of that speaking organization, that nationwide speaking organization. It escapes me. But anyway, she wrote a book called Transformational Speaking. And she talks about speaking from that home place. And the only way I can describe that home place, you hear a lot of sports athletes talk about being in that home space. It's a place where sometimes when I present, I'll get so in the groove and I'm so content ready that it's like the speech just flows through me. And I've had many instances where people have come up to me after the presentation and said, man, I really like what you said. I really like that section that you talked about this. And I sometimes I have to say, can you remind me about what I said? Because I was totally blank. So that's probably the best tip is review that book. There are many, many books out there written for speakers. The other thing is there was a thing created many, 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 many years ago by a man named Aristotle. And what Aristotle came up with was a design that goes like this. When you open up, tell them what you're going to tell them. Tell them what you want to tell them. And then when you close, tell them what you told them. And it's a successful way to craft a speech. It has worked for a long, long time. It's also how most college students are taught to do an essay. So it's very popular. Just remember, tell them what you're going to tell them, and then tell them what you told them. Let's see, what else can I come up with? Have some structure. You know, when you craft a speech, there's 2 reasons that we have structure in a speech. And the second reason is that it allows the audience to follow along with your presentation. And the number 1 reason to have some kind of structure, you'll see it, you know, the L's of leadership, or the ABCs of leadership, or something along those lines, some kind of acronym, because that helps the presenter remember their speech. So let's see, that's 4. What else can I come up with? Pull out my notes here. I'll tell you, here's a really big tip. How much time do we have? Lots of time left? We have about 15 minutes, it looks like. Here's the biggest tip I can tell you. I studied a man named Bill Gove. And Bill Gove was probably the grandfather of public speaking. And this is what he taught me. Make a point and tell a story. Make another point and tell a story. Make another point and tell a story. You have an opening, you open up with a quote, a joke, or something along those lines. Get the audience livened up. Make your point, tell a story, make your point, tell a story, and close and review what you just told them. He would be invited to speeches. He had all of his stories on 5x8 cards, the little card, or 3x5 cards, the recipe cards. And he would craft a speech on his way. So I'll make this point, tell this story. I'll make this point, tell this story, this story, this story, this story. Boom. He knew the topic that the venue wanted him to speak about. He'd open up with a joke or a quote, close, review, and he was done. And he made a lot of money doing that. And it was very simple. And that's kind of what he taught me. So there you go. That's 5.
Thank you, Todd.
There are a lot more. And if you're very interested in more, I have an entire presentation on how to craft a speech. So it's pretty cool. Let's see. There looks like there's some. I really like this. I really like.
Yeah, so we got one from Claudia. It's a great question. How do you recruit young adults to join Toastmaster? Something we're asking ourselves in Rotary frequently now.
You know, it's really strange in Toastmasters because we're not allowed to really publicize. You don't see Toastmasters on radio ads. You don't see them on television ads. And it's just mostly through word of mouth. We are our best salesmen as members of our club. Now, recently, I have noticed in my home club, Snohomish County Toastmasters Club, we've been attracting a lot of young people. And how we did that is through our website. And people are Googling it, and they're hearing it about it from friends, and they're Googling it. So I guess if you have somebody that's really good with search engine optimization for your club and people type in Rotary in your area, but I can tell you truthfully, Toastmasters really doesn't publicize. You know, our marketing website is the main Toastmasters website. We each have a club website. We have Facebook pages for the clubs, Facebook groups, and yep, they still come. And I could see that being a challenge. Our huge thing in Toastmasters is membership and membership growth, because people come and go. People come, they get what they think they need, and they move on, they move away, they change jobs, they start a class, they move to a different club. I'm not sure what the secret is to attracting the younger crowd. I know it's kind of beneficial for us to have gavel clubs, because once they get done with the gavel club, they then move on to a regular club. It's attraction through us, basically, and how we portray and show up in the world. I hope I answered that question, because I don't think there is a real good answer. Go with what works. Meetups. There's a lot of things that young people are looking at and checking things out to do cool stuff. And it's just, you got to set up that attraction factor. Did you get another one, Henry?
Yeah, so you got a thank you from Bev, who had to drop off. And Jenny asks, what public speaker do you admire most?
What public speaker do I admire? I would have to say that was Bill Gove. Bill Gove was pretty amazing. And like I said, he was the grandfather of public speaking. I've hung out with some really cool speakers. Bob Proctor, the guy's amazing on stage. He can really motivate an audience and get them to check out his programs. There are many of them out there that everybody has their own style. Everybody has their own way of doing it. I'm thinking back on one of the teachers that I really identify with is a woman by the name of Mary Mannon Morrissey, and her presentation style is amazing. She is probably 5'4", and I'm not knocking that she's that small, but she'll stand on a stage in 3-4 inch heels and just stay in one place and present, and you're just locked on to every word that she says. So yeah, I think whatever you identify with, whatever you find interesting, that what you'll find is as you're evaluating people, you'll begin to understand what's important to you. And if you're speaking from that home place, if you're speaking from your heart and speaking the way that you're comfortable doing it, you'll get results. I hope I answered Jenny's question. Looks like there's another one. Oh, somebody's saying goodbye.
Thank you.
Okay. So where we go from here? I would really like to open it up. I know that Rotary would really like to attract more Toastmasters into some of your events, into some of your community, service projects. I know we would really like to see Rotarians practicing their speeches at Toastmaster Club. You guys have been given a short version of the Pathways projects that's available to every Rotarian. You can go to your Rotary website and look at that. Everybody has access to that. The problem is where do you practice those speeches? Well, you connect with the club, and most clubs I know, anybody that would like to come and present as a guest speaker would be totally open to it. So if you want to look at your Pathways Rotary projects and get started with that, don't hesitate, because you have a venue already available for you to go and practice your speech and get some feedback. And if you have a hard time with that, just get a hold of me, because I'll invite you to my home club and we'll have a great time. I know Catherine and Howard are on here, and Howard, you're stuck with me for another year. Sorry, dude.
Well, it's my pleasure. And we're going to do again next year. We're going to do the same thing we did this year by asking the president-elects for the future year to join and visit Toastmaster clubs.
Cool.
It's a great
I'll start getting ready this time. I'll start getting ready this time, and it won't be such a quick rush.
And I participated in Kathy's suggested 50 minutes of fun, and I think that was one of the best things we did this year. And so we will continue that next year, as long as you're willing to work with us.
Oh, totally. So Howard, we'll consider, and I think I can speak for you as I can for everybody else. Our committee meetings are open to anybody?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so. So if you want to get involved with the Toastmasters Rotary Partnership, the Alliance, and you can attend our monthly meetings, we would love to have you. The more ideas, the better. Howard, are we going to let Catherine get away without being involved anymore? Is she just going to, are we going to let her run, or are we going to hold her feet to the fire?
Oh, Kathy will be involved forever. One of the things we really want to do next year is we would love to get Toastmasters involved in Rotary service projects.
Yeah, I got that.
That's one of them. There's a big Bloodworks Northwest. It'd be great to have Toastmasters participate in that as an alliance with Rotary, and future projects as well. So we definitely want to continue this alliance going forward, not just 1 year or another.
Right. No, I'm all about that, and I think that's big on my mind too. Is to get, because I know that a lot of Toastmasters are service orientated. They just don't have an outlet for that, and you guys are already doing the projects. You just require some help, or people want to join in, and I think we just need to make that more. We need to make that more part of the awareness in Toastmasters that these things are available. Catherine, did you have any ideas? She's muted.
I'm busy responding to the chat.
So great to see you today, my dear.
Yeah, this has been a fun year. And I really want to applaud Todd and also the team that came around to support these efforts. Rebecca Murray did a wonderful training session, 2 of them actually, last fall on enhancing our online presence. And that was great. And I think we've got a lot to look forward to in the year ahead. So thanks for getting our first year of our Alliance off to a good start. And here's to the second.
You know what, Catherine and Howard, I feel like we just popped the cork on this, and there are so many glasses to fill, so much more to do that we can just keep right on going. And everybody's input is totally welcome if you have any ideas. I see a question in here about PowerPoint, and I'll just say this about PowerPoint. There's a really good article, Google it, and it's called Death by PowerPoint. And I'm not a big fan of PowerPoint, as you can tell. It has its purposes, it has its place, but people that rely totally on it will lose an audience. It's the eye-to-eye contact, the face-to-face contact. Anybody else have any ideas? Oh, looks like, yeah, we do. And that's something Catherine and I and Howard worked on, is the Speakers Bureau for the Rotary clubs looking for speakers. It's a work in progress. And it's still being worked on. And I'm going to put a little more focus on that this year and open that up. But it looks like Lynn, you have a list of local Toastmaster presenters, including their topics. So that's really good. I'm curious where you, am I on that list, Lynn? I'm just kidding.
Todd, I think this was a list I think that Paige compiled.
Oh, there you go.
Toastmaster presenters.
Then
Posted it on our website and in our newsletter, but it's available for Rotary clubs who are looking for Toastmaster speakers, and they can sort by topic or by person, whatever. But it's probably great to continue to grow and expand that list in the year ahead.
It's another one of our products from our Alliance committee meetings, was that Speakers Bureau list. Any other comments, concerns, ideas, what you think the Alliance committee should be working on? I think we have some great direction, and if you think of something, please let your leadership know, or like I said, I'm not a hard guy to find, and you can shoot me an email at any time. All right, I told you a little bit about me. I told you some great stories. I showed you some of my favorite quotes. We recapped. I talked to you about Toastmasters and what you can expect. We recapped what the Alliance did last year, and we kicked around some more ideas. And look at that. We are right at 6 o'clock. I just have one last thing. My big call to action to you is for you to check out some Toastmasters clubs. And I guarantee you this much. I'll be encouraging some Toastmaster clubs to check out Rotary clubs. Back to you, Henry. Thank you very much. Did we lose Henry? Looks like Henry bailed on us. Catherine, tag, you're it.
That's wild, because Henry is our tech host. But in any event, thank you everybody who joined us tonight. Connect with incoming Governor Howard Cohen if you'd like to actually join our Alliance team in the year ahead. There's lots of great opportunities, whether it's service or more skill building, speaker connections, all kinds of things. And Todd, great to see you, and thank you for joining us on our Festival of Training session tonight.
It was my pleasure. I hope to be invited back again.
You can count on it. Great.
Okay.
Good night, everybody.